Please watch over the council and the mayor as they make decisions for the city, Lord, and just guide them in every way. Watch over our first responders and everything they do for our city. We just love you and praise you. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Ms. Deb Huffman. All right, we're going to start our meeting, Ms. Nikki, at 6:01.
Okay,
All right, I need a roll call.
all right. Mike?
Here.
Paula? Here. Faith? Here. Bonnie?
Here.
Fred?
Here.
Jennifer?
Here.
All right, I need approval for the meetings from March 11th, please. I need a first.
I make a motion.
All right, Paula.
I'll second.
Second, Ms. Jennifer. Ms. Nikki.
Paula?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Jennifer?
All right.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
All right, thank you all. Before we get ready to start, we're going to bring Jeremy up here in a minute. I just want you to know, I went to the drug court awards. They had 3 gentlemen that went through their drug program. And I got to tell you, it was really very impressive. So if you've not been to that, you need to go see it because Judge Burris and his group, Monica, who heads up the program for that, it was amazing to see these young men really go through what they've gone through. They had tons of support, folks that have been through the program before. I've never been to that. So if you ever get a chance, I know they have it. They got one in May coming up again, but I don't know how long the program is, but it was really, what's that?
It's May 13th.
May 13th. It's really amazing to go that. So if you haven't been, I just encourage you to. It keeps everything in perspective. I just thought it was a really good thing to do. And to see some things that in the county that we're doing, it's really cool to see these young men graduate to a point that they're coming out of a really bad situation. So I wanted to share that with you. So if you get a chance, please take that opportunity. Thank you, Bonnie. All right, with that said, Mr. Jeremy, why don't you come up here and push that little button up on that thing? For all of you, most of you know who he is, but he is our planning and zoning ambassador. Is that a new title for you?
Sure, I'll take ambassador.
All right, all right. Well, tell us a little bit about what's been going on there.
Okay, well, we had our last meeting a week and a half ago. There were 3 cases on the docket that were 3 related cases or combined cases that were in the city of Shepherdsville. And I don't know if you all have seen or if it's been passed on yet for review, but there is a series of properties on the west side of the railroad tracks. The north end of the property is where Kentucky 61 crosses over the railroad, the grade separated crossing south or on the south end of town. So the north entrance to the site is on the west side of the tracks.
Well, I was going to say, the easiest way to do it, it's north of the detention center and it's across from the concrete place.
Okay, yeah. I struggle without a picture to point to.
I just do the, Cliff Note version.
So it's multiple properties together that are being looked at by Poe, which is a developer that you may have seen. They've had some bigger developments in Louisville, or that maybe it probably has some name recognition there. This site that they're looking at, it's had multiple zoning. Some of the properties are already light industrial. The 2 on the south end are, there was agricultural and commercial that were immediately adjacent to the existing at-grade crossing of the railroad. If you extended 480, past the intersection with 61, it would run right into that property. So what they're looking at is they're trying to set this up for as a manufacturing development. They don't have, as far as I know, a specific tenant or client, but that's what they're looking towards. One of the benefits they see is that the property is set up to be able to have a rail spur, and this is
You all know what that is.
Yes.
so direct access to CSX. And some of these points I'm going to give you are directly from the developer. It's not me going out and doing research. So I'm not owning these. This is the information I was given. That CSX had at one time identified this property as one of the few opportunities for a rail spur between Louisville and Glendale. I believe that was the limits they gave. So, so they looked at this as an opportunity to bring in a manufacturing development. With the zoning that they were looking for, IL, light industrial, it could just as well be used for warehousing. So that's, it's kind of a double-edged sword when you do get excited potentially about manufacturing, but also it opens the door for more warehousing. With that being said, the comprehensive plan did show, I believe a portion of it did show either residential or commercial. I don't know how that made it into the previous comprehensive plan. Just looking at the site, it's adjacent to light industrial, and it's along between a railroad and a wetland. So, it doesn't look, it looks like a site that, from everything around it, that would be most appropriate for industrial. So it makes sense from that standpoint. And then also with the new interchange to the south, that whole area, I think if you, going forward, is going more in that direction.
I want to add to that, you guys will get information on that. It just passed unanimously at the planning and zoning. But I want to make sure that you guys will get information on that. Brenda gets it, and then we'll make sure we'll put it in your file so that you can look over it. You were nodding your head. Is that something you remember from before with the CSX? Bonnie, did you remember that? Oh, I thought you, okay.
I remember a little bit about the CSX, but I've already had phone calls on this. So.
Okay.
Okay. Well, and I'm glad to hear that you're getting phone calls, because there really wasn't, from what I saw, there was nobody, there might have been one person that spoke. I think it was a single property owner that just had one question about access, but I was surprised to see that there didn't seem to be a lot of interest from the public. So, and this is, this is a big deal. Either way you go with it, it's still, this is an important property. And I've got my own reasons outside of that development looking at it that I have concerns that I want to see this through. The other reason why I've kind of gone into more detail on this is just because this is a critical area. Looking at access in our town, or we've got the railroad as a major barrier through this town. On the north end of town, we've got a couple at-grade crossings at 44 and Adam Shepherd Parkway. Then we have the one-lane grade-separated crossings, which are somewhat reliable at the old cross at Old 480 and is it Joby Hall? I guess that's, I don't know the name of the road at the point where it crosses the other one.
It's Joby Hall.
And then we've got 61 crossing over twice, north of town and south of town. So we're limited to those few places to get across the railroad. And where this site is, it's unique because on the north end of the site, it touches 61 on the west side of the railroad. And then 61 immediately crosses over. On the south end of the site, it has an existing at-grade crossing of the railroad that would be essentially an extension of 480. As the site was originally laid out in the documents that we saw, it was looking to create two dead ends right there at really the only open area that we have for any of these connecting roads. And that did concern me initially looking at it. That was why typically we don't meet with the developer or anybody involved with the case before planning and zoning meeting. In this occasion, I did meet with the city, with Arthur Jones, and with the developer. Because these were questions I think that needed to be answered, and it would have been difficult for them to address in the scope of a planning and zoning meeting, because it's, and so one of the concessions that they did make, or commitments that they were open to, was taking their north entrance that they have designed, and rather than it being a private road, dedicating it as public right-of-way. And then continuing that dedication all the way to the south end of the site. I think, this is my opinion, I think it needs to be a continuous road built with the development that terminates at the south end of the site. I was not able to get that commitment at the planning and zoning meeting, but I think that's something that does need to be discussed, because what that does is that property to the south going all the way towards the interchange one day will develop in some form or another. If this is left as two dead ends, or even if that section is not built through their property, even if it's dedicated, it's gonna be difficult for somebody else to go build to kind of thread the needle within their development. In order to have some continuity, to have more than one alternate going south through that area, so that everybody doesn't have to go to 61, we need more alternate routes. And I think that is something that, as a city, we need to be able to look forward and kind of establish some of those corridors. This one got, and that's something I want to continue to push for, but this is, this development came before we've had a chance to really address this or even take that first step. But I think as we need to, this is Bullitt County is pursuing a comprehensive plan. I think the city needs to, in some form, produce, in a parallel track, produce a comprehensive plan that meets the needs of the city, that dovetails into what the county's doing. And that way you can start to establish corridors for future development, so that it's not when a developer comes in, they're not working with a clean slate, that there is some plan that they have to adapt to, or a road corridor that they need to wrap their development around.
So I want to add a couple things to what he said. First of all, that we're looking at that side of 480 to be kind of a bypass. We're trying to figure a way to get to it. So most of that terrain back there is rough. That's the problem. So we're trying to figure a way that in that Beech Grove area, that you can take it around to that south side of that, where the detention center is, so you can get back out, because that's our problem. Because to the river, there's no way to get across. So that is one aspect of it. The second thing is that the comprehensive plan, we're getting ready to go to that. So we do get to put our voice in, and what the overlay, like an example, is the one we just talked about. I think I mentioned a couple of them up here, is that looking at the Salt River to 44 being a downtown corridor, and what can be down there, right? So we're gonna be doing that. So that's, the key is this comprehensive plan as it stands. For some of this property he's talking about, half of it's not even worth anything. And that's the problem you run into, is the two pieces that are sitting there adjacent. Remember, the two pieces are the places they wanna put something, but they've got the rest of that's just gonna be an outlet to Preston. So, but they gotta have the other one on the other side, and I know he's been working hard to get them to understand, we want something that connects to the next property. So there's still a piece that's in this, but, the thing we look at is, when we look at our developments, and it's kind of unique with the spur, because that's not a usual thing to have. And we are encouraging it, but Jeremy and I talked earlier today, there is no guarantee it's gonna be manufacturing. We'd like that. That would be the piece we want. We don't want the distribution, but we're obviously not at liberty to tell them what they can do with that property, as long as it's light industrial. But we do want to push for the manufacturing. The thing for us in all this is, and I think what he's trying to tell you, is he's out there fighting for any little thing, because we've discussed looking at some of these options, because some of these things, it's not worth anything else to put there. There is nothing else that can go there. But if we're going to put it there, what does it do to affect us as far as our travel? So we really want to, we've talked to them. There's some agreements on that, some things that have to be put on paper, I think, as far as especially the outlet to the second property, to the next property. That was a critical piece that you brought up.
I think, that's something that, through my part here, my time has passed, going through planning commission, and really wasn't the opportunity to get a commitment like that. But I think that is something that the city can definitely look at, whether it's through the initial approval process, or down the road, when the actual site development plans come through. But I think probably having communication with the developer up front and getting as many things nailed down as possible would be prudent.
So what else, did anybody else say, I know that you're obviously versed in what you're talking about, did anybody else on that planning and zoning say anything? Were any other concerns or comments by anybody?
I don't recall much discussion on it. I think I probably chewed up most of the airspace with my concern about, getting that right of way through the property. But I don't recall, really, I was surprised that there wasn't more discussion.
Who owns that property?
There's 3 separate properties.
Merriman.
Hester is one of the names.
Hester's one, that one.
And maybe Burris. Yes.
No. Okay, I couldn't remember.
Jeremy, was anything mentioned about a bridge? Because I know several years ago, somebody looked at that. Bonnie, I don't know if you were on council at that time, but,
Mentioned about what? What was,
a bridge.
Yes, it was on there.
so a bridge
Bridge
to
where?
over,
They
I
wanted to
think-
put a bridge over the railroad track
From 480, correct?
Okay.
because they were wanting to get it to connect over to Beach Grove Road.
so as a transportation engineer, that's something that I wish we had a plan that had been adopted that showed that and that, but in this case, for that development, they're very close to where the railroad tracks are, so putting a bridge there, great, where you've gotta be, say, your grade 25 feet above the railroad to get a road, a bridge over that, it means you can't tie down to anything within the site. So for their purposes, that would have been a bad deal. So really, everything that, what they're looking at is an at-grade crossing, like what we would have at Adam
So
Shepherd.
it would have to be put in, or there's one they can use?
So there is a crossing there today. So there's,
No arms.
right, so it would need to be reconstructed, but because of the fact that there is you couldn't just go put a new crossing in somewhere.
Is it the crossing that's by the jail?
Yeah,
Yes, it goes, so there was a guy that used to sell hay back there and
That's the
some,
one where the guy got killed.
He,
Yeah. there was
he used to work on there used to be a little automotive place back there that
Yeah.
worked on cars. That's what he did.
So-
The boy that got killed, he
boy that-
worked there.
Yeah.
okay. Well, so that crossing, I can't see a scenario where where they would be able to use it as is. They would it would need to be reconstructed, which is typically pretty difficult to get something like that to happen. But if you're a developer who's also looking at adding a rail spur, you're gonna be talking to CSX, so I think that makes it a little more plausible to keep that connection. Cause they are showing having a connection from that road within to their site. But as shown, it was just to their site and nothing else.
Right.
Um,
Well, they could
that's-
always come on 61 too and come to it, right? I mean, they wouldn't have to use the tracks.
Right, so you could, so they had one option that went directly into across the tracks into their site. And it looked like it was probably would have been more for offices and that. But then the main entrance would be coming off of 61 on the north on the north end of the site, coming in where you could put an entrance that would have had more sight distance for vehicles, so that would be where your trucks and that would
Which
come.
a lot of that property's not worth using, that's
Oh,
why
I know.
yeah, they would,
It's
So-
wetlands.
So, yeah, and so they've kind of just meandered through following the high ground. But that is also really the only place where if you were going to bring a road through, a public road, is where it would need to go. So I think this is, it's an opportunity for, if this development does go through, that we could get some public good out of this with infrastructure that, most of which they were going to be building anyway. But it also allows future development down the road and doesn't require somebody, even delivery vehicles, to go into their site, back out onto the 61, then go down to the next one and back in. And that's what, we fight with all over this county, where there's a lot of dead-end developments. And that was, it takes some, pushing back on the municipal end to keep that from happening.
we've had some discussions with him. What we'll do is basically, we'll make you guys get that, make sure you reach back out to him, because I know he's been working on, we've actually sat with this developer, and we're asking them for some help on that, especially on the connection on the next piece of property,
Yeah.
on the front end of their building. So you gotta see it, you'll see it, I mean, it's got a better, once you see it, you'll get a better understanding of how they got it laid out, but there is some things we're actually asking them for, and we'll have to see how that works.
I'll definitely be reaching out to you, because I know I'll
Well,
have a lot of questions.
That's what I was gonna say. So I'm terrible at talking I need a PowerPoint or pictures or something. So, it's much easier to explain some of the things, some of the things that concern me. when, you know, when it's shown on a map and when I can talk about the areas that are affected. So, definitely reach out if you've got questions.
So when it comes to us, we'll have him here and then we'll have Poe here too. We'll have them, they need to be answering questions too,
Good.
to make sure that we're all on the same page. So we'll make sure.
I can't tell you off the top of my head.
I think it was around 7.
No, seven,
just-
no, it's close to 90.
Is it just this part right here?
Yeah,
So
it's-
the
it's
part that
at
was
90.
rezoned is what you're looking at right there,
see
but
the
the
sign.
development
If
is
you go
much
south,
larger
you
because
see the
Because I
there's,
pulled it up on
I've already
planning
had
and
2
zoning, I
homeowners
pulled the
back there.
documents
The other
up,
back
but I can't remember.
They're okay.
there's several adjacent properties along the railroad that were already industrial, and that's where the road's coming
Because
down,
it's
but
mom
it's
and
the
dad back
two,
here.
I believe the two
It's mom and dad
southernmost
back there.
properties
That's all
that,
his property.
So are
we-
we
maybe 10.
talking the road is gonna hook in here
32,
and
10,
go
and 12.
over to
What's-
Beach
32,
Road?
10, and 12.
Is that
So-
what we're
To the
talking?
total
And you
acres.
so there, so if you look, that entrance to the ready mix facility right there,
Yeah.
that's where they line their entrance up.
Okay,
And then it would come out and curve around and come down through here
okay.
to this area, right? This is where they're showing the two buildings and then a rail spur coming off. right
Yeah,
there.
okay.
So that's, but they didn't have the time to go. Correct, yeah, so one, so it would basically just at this one, what would essentially be an extension of 480
Yeah,
would just stop right there, and then their entrance would stop on the north end of the site, and then they would have two buildings like in an L shape, and then the south end of the properties here.
okay, okay.
It's 54.
And there's a rail spur on Coral Ridge,
Yes.
just so y'all know, so.
54
If
acres
54 acres.
total.
You were closer than I was, Brad. You said 70. All right. Did you have anything else from planning and zoning?
Well, so, as the mayor mentioned, the comprehensive plan is getting going now, and I was invited to serve on the steering committee, so the first meeting for that will be April 30th, I believe.
Yep.
So,
I have it on my
and
calendar.
that will be essentially establishing existing conditions, or I believe that was.
This will help us a little bit because we fight things now. We can reestablish what we want in every different area of our city. That's gonna be the critical piece, because we do need to obviously look at some of it. We gotta identify some areas as residential.
Yeah.
That's the big piece. Because that's, everything else, we know from the industrial park, we know those areas. And from a commercial side, it's what's actually in the city, but that residential piece has gotta be found.
Hey, Jeremy, you mentioned like coming up with our own comprehensive plan, which is funny because I think I mentioned that to Catherine like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but how would that work, having a parallel city comprehensive plan versus the county plan?
I think this is gonna go well with the county comprehensive plan. So I think what we need to do is, as that's moving along, we start identifying areas that maybe that comprehensive plan is looking countywide. We maybe would look at a more granular level, of within the city, what we would like to see, what we need to see. And so it may be, so there would be pieces that overlap, but really it would need to dovetail into what's being done, but with more specificity, that start looking at where we need pedestrian facilities, how we can fill the gaps that we have within the city, and then looking at just road and connectivity in general, where we have shortcomings in our transportation network, and where we want to steer future development. If the county plan doesn't go, or like take that step, then we would fill in that information. Like, how do we drive the development that we want to see?
Just to answer your question, we have a lot of say in that. We have a lot of say, because I mean, I can tell right now, just in talking to everybody involved, especially Charlie, they're listening to us.
Yeah, and so I think I have a positive outlook on this. I think the county comprehensive plan is going to get us there. What we would do would be more fine tuning that.
Is the public invited to that meeting?
Not
The
this-
con-
no, this is
It's just the
this is
steering
invite-
committee.
yeah.
Okay.
It's-
So, off the top of my head, I don't know how many, or, what level of public involvement. I'll find out a little more once the consultant, kind of gives us, what they've worked with Charlie on this, scoping this, so.
We have I don't know how many we got. I know me, you, and Scott, and Arthur, and you, and I'm not sure who else from the city, but there's a whole number of people throughout the county that have been invited to this.
Well, and there was, so our former director of planning, Felicia Harper, who's now at KIPTA, I know she was on the list. There was a gentleman from Texas Transportation Cabinet who's their, I think, planning lead in District 5. So, yeah, there's quite a diverse group of people
Good.
that have been included in this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jeremy,
You know,
thank you.
It's my opinion, you was mentioning about public involvement, and I think it's my opinion that any committee that meets is a public meeting, pretty much. If they're,
So typically on plans like this, there is typically a steering committee or a stakeholders committee that does meet in private, just because I don't want to say that's just the way it's always done, but sometimes it is difficult to have a productive meeting when you do have a larger
They'll present
audience.
You have
They'll
to be
present it,
careful.
yeah.
Yeah, so, and that's, so, that, I guess you could make the argument that it should be public, but it's not something that I've been accustomed to, that especially on the front end, when you're first getting started on a plan like this, you typically try to get a large enough sample of people that are connected enough within different areas to try to bring those viewpoints.
Yeah.
And you still end up getting public input, but at least that helps you with a smaller group start to craft that message or figure out which direction you needed to go, because it can be difficult having a productive meeting when
Yeah,
in a room with 500 people.
Yeah,
So-
they can.
yeah,
that'd be a record around here, I think.
yeah, no.
But I've sat through many committee meetings at different functions and just sit and listen.
So I don't
have to
know that
speak.
it's closed. I just know it's
It's okay.
It's all good, sir. It's all good.
all right. Anything else?
Jeremy, thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate always what you do up there, buddy. You're a great voice for us. Thank you very
Happy
much.
to do it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Next but not least here, this is Miss Heather Cruz.
Oh, we like gifts. Unless they have to do homework.
No homework.
Okay.
So you are good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to be a little prepared. All right, who knows about ALC?
Would you do me a favor? and
Yes,
just,
sir.
You can either turn around and introduce yourself to everybody
Hello, everybody.
and what you do.
My name is Heather Cruz, and I am with ALC Pregnancy Resource Center. Some of you might know us as a New Hope Pregnancy Resource Center in the past. ALC ALC acquired a New Hope about 5 years ago. We've been on Buckman since about 2020, since August of 2020. So.
Right. Well, we asked you to be here to talk about all the good things you're doing. Yep.
Thank you so much. So, yeah, thank you for inviting me. Just what I said a few moments ago, did you guys know of a New Hope before, a New Hope Pregnancy
Yes.
Resource Center? Did you know that ALC existed?
Yes.
Great. Yay. That's two greats. Okay, so what we're doing at ALC, one of the things that did change from a New Hope to ALC is we have an ultrasound machine. So that is something that I think a lot of people don't know. Lynn and we got to walk through last week, and it was like, oh, I didn't know you had an ultrasound machine. We're one of the few ultrasound machines that we know of in Bullitt County other than the hospital. And to date, there is not an OBGYN office in Bullitt County. Well, I say there's one in Mount Washington. We're hoping to get one at South. We are not an OBGYN office, but we serve kind of in that capacity where we're meeting women and families in an unplanned pregnancy. So women come to us when they are having an unplanned, or we'll call it crisis pregnancy. We talk about all the things. Some women that walk through our doors are very unsure about what they're wanting to do with their pregnancy. We do talk about that space. We create safe space very quickly at our center, and just talk about. I'll just say all the things. We share all of their options. We, at the end, do hope that they choose life for their baby, that they do make a life-affirming decision. But we also know that that's not always the case with most women. But we want to know that when, if they choose a different option, that they've got a safe place to come back to process even those emotions. So in the handout, we do have all of our services listed here. So one of the things we do pregnancy testing, we do ultrasounds. We actually have parenting classes and education for our clients. We have peer counseling, and so where a client can meet with someone and just talk, just have a safe space to talk. We also have material assistance, so if you need it for a baby, we've probably got it or can probably get our hands on it. Diapers, wipes, clothes, bouncies, name it. If you think of it that you need it for a baby, we've probably got it there. And everything is 100% free to the community. We even have formula. Jenny from the Turnaround Center, she'll just be like, hey, I have some formula, and we get formula. Free formula, you guys. I mean, who can beat that? Right, anybody know, if they can't get it on WIC or for some reason, there's been, I don't know how many people we helped during that formula shortage last year. We had it on our shelves. So, one of the other things is our community resources. We try to stay connected here in the community. I am trying to be at as many places as I can be, or my staff, so that we are just sharing the word of what we do here in Bullitt County. With that, I was going to circle back around to our parenting classes. Our parenting classes have been approved for court order. So if people are families are trying to reunify with their children, that their children are in foster care and such, we are one of the approved classes that parents can go through. And we provide a meal. We've partnered with local churches. Eastern Gate is helping us out. We have a number of other churches. We provide a meal from 5:30 until 6 o'clock. We also provide childcare, and then we have 8 weeks of instruction classes. I'm just going to advocate our classes. I didn't have a class like this when my kids were little, and oh my goodness, wish I did. Anybody who has kids, it's open to the community. If you needed a parenting class or know anybody, send them through us, you guys. It's good stuff. I have old kids. I'll say my kids are grown and out of the house, but it has helped me be a better mom to my older kids. It's helped to heal some relationship. Any perfect parent here? Okay.
Imperfect parent, yeah.
So I would say, please don't leave me alone up here. But it's our parenting classes. I just can't say enough about them when it talk about reunifying families. I've had people come in and they go back and do oh my gosh, I have to be here. And then by the end, they're giving me a hug at the end going, oh my goodness, I didn't know. And I'm like, well, now that you have this, you can make a different choice. I'd say parenting classes can change a generation.
Heather, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Are you hooked up with the Bullitt County, or CASA now? Do you work with CASA at all?
I don't work with them, but we actually, I have community talks with
Bonnie
them.
has been-
Yeah.
But I just know
So-
that the reunification is a big deal, so since you have a certified
Major.
class.
Yes.
That maybe, because I
So
know.
our information, the Empowered Parenting class information, I do have it going out to a lot of places already. DCBS, I know, is getting our information. I will get CASA on my list.
It's a regional thing now, it's out of Louisville, but that group.
Sure,
Definitely.
yeah,
I heard that they're gonna have a satellite
Yeah, they
office
do.
in Hillview.
sure.
It's gonna be.
It is, it's gonna have, the two ladies, no, it's
Sure.
still Laura and Dawn.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're still there, but I mean, they're the two
Okay.
agents for that, but they're.
Right, and I know
they're
I
in
spoke
Hillview.
with those ladies at the chamber lunch a
Oh,
couple weeks ago.
mhm.
Forgive me, I cannot remember their names,
That's
but I
okay.
do have their information too, so. So the way we're supported, we are community supported. We have a lot of churches that donate to us and a lot of philanthropy options here too. So we are supported by the community, privately funded, and I have all of that information in there. Shameless plug, we do have a golf scramble coming up. It is at Heritage Hill. Get a swing into Father's Day weekend. It's the Friday before Father's Day. That information's in there. Anybody wants to be a sponsor at any level. And then we also have our baby bottle campaign that comes up too. That's one of our other big fundraisers. A lot of churches participate in that, and that information is in the packet as well. So I feel like I have just given you water through a fire hose. What questions do you have for me?
So this is completely free, the ultrasound?
100%
Okay.
completely free.
I know somebody
So the
that needed it.
ultrasound, we do limited ultrasound. So we are checking three things: to make sure baby's inside the womb, checking for a heartbeat, and checking for size.
Okay.
Okay, anything outside of that is an OBGYN office. They need to go to their doctor, to an emergency room or something like that. So,
Okay.
yeah, we want to stay within our scope. So,
Okay.
yeah, we're just trying to show women, just give them honest truth about what's going on inside their bodies. So, so they can see, is there a baby growing or is there not? Is there a heartbeat? Is there not? So that they can make a fully informed decision about what they want to do with their pregnancy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Well, I think it's a wonderful organization.
thank
and that
you.
You've been wonderful to get to know.
Thank you.
And I think like this is just one more of these services that can be a value to folks in the community, so.
Most
the
definitely.
Women can obviously make some good
So.
decisions with having you in their corner, so.
Yeah, so
Thank you for coming in.
anybody that send them our way. We are open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and our location couldn't be any better.
Yeah,
So,
it's in a great spot,
I mean,
yeah.
we're right across from West Banco.
Yep.
On Beckman, and we own the building, so nobody's moving us,
All right.
okay? So,
Thank you very much.
so much, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We got a special guest a little later. All right, so right now, old business. This is the second reading of the ordinance to repeal the 110.222 of the ordinance for the farmer's market.
Summary of ordinance 024008, an ordinance repealing section 110.22 of the Sherburnesville Code of Ordinances related to farmers market annual license fee, sponsored by Councilmember Brad Whitaker. Summary number one, repeals in its entirety section 110.22 of the Sherburnesville Code of Ordinances related to farmers market annual license fee. Two, provides for repeal of inconsistent laws, severability provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication.
All right, thank you, Ms. Catherine. This is what we did the first time. We're doing it again because we passed the municipal order that covers the regulation of the fee, which was the focus. So I don't know if you guys have any questions, but I need a motion to accept. Paula,
I'll second.
second with Jennifer.
Okay.
Ms. Nikki?
All right, Mike,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Bonnie,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Faith.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you all for that. All right, new business. Catherine, you're popular today. All right, ordinance of 024009, would you please read that for us, please? First
Summary
reading.
of ordinance 024009, an ordinance amending section 31.19 of the Sherburnesville Code of Ordinances related to organization of board, meetings, quorum of Code Enforcement Board, sponsored by Faith Portman. Summary number one, amends the Code Enforcement Board meeting dates from the third Tuesday of each month to the following: the third Tuesday in January, the third Tuesday in April, the third Tuesday in July, the third Tuesday in October. Two, the meeting time of 5:30 PM shall remain the same. Three, provides for repeal of inconsistent laws, severability provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication.
All right, that's our first reading, and then obviously, and even though she's done this, Bonnie made a comment about, trying to get you information. If there's things that you want to know about that, please reach out to Catherine. If you got any questions, we'll try to get anything to you. A lot of it's just cleaning up. And you'll see some things in there, you'll start reading them, yeah, we don't need that anymore. But just as long as you all know, we're just trying to clean up our ordinances a little bit. Spring cleaning, right?
Well, this one came from
I know.
Deb.
But-
Yeah.
but-
So,
but you're gonna see down through here. So anyway, our next ordinance is 024010. Ms. Catherine?
summary of ordinance 024010, an ordinance repealing chapter 91 of the Sherburnesville Code of Ordinances related to health and sanitation, nuisances in its entirety, sponsored by Councilmember Brad Whitaker. Summary number one, repeals chapter 1 of the Sherburnesville Code of Ordinances related to health and sanitation, nuisances in its entirety. Two, provides for repeal of inconsistent laws, severability provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication. And as I had stated in prior email, and I was, telling Bonnie again tonight, our property maintenance code ordinance that we passed, or that you all passed last year, covers pretty much everything that was in chapter 91. And so this is just to make clear that that one supplants this. And so that's why we're repealing it.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Catherine, you're gonna read now the first reading of the 024011.
Summary of ordinance 024011, an ordinance repealing chapter 70 of the Sherburnesville Code of Ordinances related to parking rules, sponsored by Councilmember Faith Portman. Summary number one, repeals chapter 70 of the Sherburnesville Code of Ordinances related to parking rules in its entirety. Two, provides for repeal of inconsistent laws, severability provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication. This one, a lot of our parking rules were pretty antiquated. I mean, we still talked about parking meters that we don't have. But in doing research, at some point over the years, the state legislature has said, okay, cities, if you want to enforce your own parking ordinances, you now have to have a parking citation board, to which we do not have. And after talking with Steve, Chief Schmidt, they usually rely on the KRSs for any parking violations. And so at this point, it's just to repeal it. At some point, should the city ever think it needs to do more, you guys could certainly look into starting a parking citation board and moving forward with that. That's, just because we repeal it now doesn't mean we can't do something down the road.
Right,
All right,
thank you.
all right, Ms.
All right.
024012.
Summary of ordinance 024012, an ordinance repealing section 151.07 of the Shepherdsville Code of Ordinances related to maintenance of neighborhoods, sponsored by Councilmember Paula Mangus. Summary, number one, repeal section 151.07 of the Shepherdsville Code of Ordinances related to maintenance of neighborhoods in its entirety. Two, provides for a repeal of inconsistent laws, severability provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication. This one also, the property maintenance ordinance that was passed last year covers the issue that's in this ordinance, so.
All right,
And last one.
last one.
Summary of ordinance 024013, an ordinance repealing sections 31.55 through 31.63 of the Shepherdsville Code of Ordinances related to the volunteer fire department, sponsored by Councilmember Jennifer Mendez. Summary, number one, repeal sections 31.55 through 31.63 of the Shepherdsville Code of Ordinances related to the volunteer fire department in its entirety. Two, provides for repeal of inconsistent laws, severability provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication. And this is just because we don't have a volunteer fire department anymore.
Oh, the days, the day.
Catherine,
Yes.
on the ordinance that is attached to this, it says 014 instead of 013.
On the last one, on the last one you just read.
Okay. We will make that clerical.
It's
Thank you,
it
Mike.
is 13. Thank you, Mike.
And we will make that clerical correction.
What number?
It's the last one.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it? Yeah, it should be 13. All right. So obviously, I was expecting somebody to be here. She's not here. Give you some insights on things. I won't take your thunder, but I will let you know that we are obviously finishing up the audit for 2022. About time. Finishing that, and we should be able to start the one for 2023. We were behind a couple years on our audits when we first came into office, so we've got some of that cleaned up, and that actually holds back our federal funds until we get these audits complete. So they're still out there, but we don't get to have them until we actually complete these tasks. So we're getting that taken care of. For the council up here, I'm gonna try to get you midweek next week, get you started on budgets. And I talked to all the department heads today. We're gonna try to schedule some times. Bonnie and Jennifer, I know that you guys have schedules, that you guys were great with us last year. We got some flexibility. We'll figure out what we can do. For the other four of you, I know you got more flexibility. So please work with us on that. I know that they're all gonna try to put you in a time that works for both of you guys. So we'll try to get that to you guys. And if there's something that needs to be changed, it's not a big deal. Kind of the same thing last year. Budgets are really not that different from last year. You'll see that when you see the information. We kept it pretty conservative, both in revenue and expenditures. So I want you guys to know that. And obviously, we're gonna have itemized information on. You will get this. I'm gonna send you an email. I'm working on it right now to let you all know that Hagerman is the contract manager. But want to show you that process and then the whole bidding process that you guys get with the aquatic center. So you'll get bits and pieces as it come through. The bidding process will come through you guys. So you'll see all that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's again, trying to explain a little bit what the contract manager does and how you guys get to view all the expenses and make sure you get the bidding on it.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get you caught up on that. For that, we know planning and zoning is done with Mr. Jeremy. I don't have anything from Board of Adjustments. Oh, there she is. Miss Tanya, come on up here since you're, great timing. Before we get, yes. Miss Tanya wanted a couple minutes of your time to explain a couple things, and I told her, come and see us. I did kind of steal your thunder just a little bit, Tanya. I did tell them that we're finalizing the 2022 budget, so, the audit. So, sorry I did that. I didn't know if you were gonna make it.
You're
Come on
used
up
to
here.
it, aren't you?
Yep, she is.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to let y'all know that I sent y'all financials. Paper copies are in your box. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me or send me an email.
Thank you.
We worked on a project, a small project called Spyglass, and they came in and audited all of our utility bills and our internet connections. And we'll be finalizing that this week, and it will save us over $12,000 a year each year. We're working currently on the GovOS system, which will replace our occupational tax business license system. We have about 24 weeks before it goes live. It will create a portal for businesses to go online and pay their license and occupational tax online like they've been requesting.
Good.
The other thing we've been working on are budgets, of course, you know. And then we continue to work on audits. So the 2022 is, it's not officially final because I don't have the paper copies to hand out or the electronic copies. But there were 4 findings on the audit, and I was pretty happy that day when they sent them to me. The first one was a carryover from prior years. It's a material adjustments. It's because of all the corrections we've been doing, getting things corrected. The second one was also carryover, and it was timely issuance of audited financial statements, which, you know, this is 2022 audit that I'm talking about, and is 2024. The third one is a new one. It's the capital asset management plan. So earlier in the year, to complete the 22 audit, we had to set up a whole new capital asset plan, new software, and I had half of a system to work on. I have had an Excel spreadsheet with the city's assets in it, and then I had paper copies with the sewers in it. So I had to set up the system, put all the assets in, and there was a $1.8 million adjustment on depreciation, which it's fine. It's not but that was one of the findings. That should not carry over from year to year because it's a one-time adjustment. We had assets that were, that we didn't have. We had assets that were classified in the wrong category. And then we had 3 different types of depreciation working within the system. So we cleaned all of that up, fixed the depreciation. So we only had one type. And this system should last us for 5 to 10 years. And the fourth one is the tax roll and collections. The auditor would like to see more details within our tax rolls. We currently get the tax roll, but we don't do the calculation because the county bills for us. And we currently do not have a delinquent list, but I'm in the process of getting that. So hopefully I will have everything that they need for the 2023 audit. And we have started on the 2023 audit. They sent me the final information for the 2022, and the next day they asked for 2023 stuff.
Of course they did.
So I was hoping to have, I was hoping 30 days in between the two, so I could do some balancing of the audit to the financials and make sure everything would look good and make any correcting entries that I needed to make. But I didn't get that, so we've just rolled right into it.
I just want to add this too, because I ask her every day about this audit thing. I wear her out with this. But I will tell you, the nice thing about it, since we started in January, 15 months later, we got 2 audits done.
Yes, yes.
That says a lot about getting the work that you guys do. So I want to make sure. I have to tell you that after asking you every day, is it done yet? Is it done yet?
I keep waiting for them to deliver it, because last time they just delivered me 2 bags of audits. So, and we did get the final invoice on that audit, so I know they're done. So it's like, I just keep waiting for the printed copies to show up.
It's
So-
exciting to get this stuff done. Like, we're going to have some things that we're going to streamline it. The one thing, you want to talk about TextGov?
Oh, I did have TextGov on my
Yeah.
list. So we put in a new program, it's called Text2Gov, and I think it will be really useful, and I can't wait to do a demo with me and Amber. She's not here. I think it will be very helpful for the police departments, the fire departments, for, I just think there's a lot of information. So currently, and I think I gave Faith a flyer on it.
You did.
Okay.
Is that the thing that pops up on the city's website when you
Yes, so there's a little, so if you text on there, put in pothole. So it will ask you, it will have a follow-up questions about, do you want to report a pothole? And then it'll ask you about where it is. And then, once we're farther down the road, we have to do a few things. But then that will go into a work order that Tom's group will get to go check out. And so we can do that for potholes. There's a few other things that we can do in there that will give us that same thing. My thought, and I've talked to the fire department about this, is I would like to have one that says traffic. And not necessarily that we can do anything about some of the traffic because it's caused by I-65. But if we had that same type of activity with, you type traffic into this text, and then it asks you where is the traffic, and then they put in their address, that will give us a database that we could then provide to the state to say, you know, this is how bad the traffic really is. And it gives us dates and times and who was affected. And I think having that statistic might help them. Because, yeah, they know we have traffic, but once you're sitting in it, you don't really know. So I think it's a great program. It's pretty inexpensive. And I think once everybody gets the hang of it, we'll really like it.
Yeah, one thing we didn't talk a whole lot about, but we're actually doing a couple different services. One of them is to clean up how we pay our utilities, how to combine them, save money. And groups that you work with, the way they get paid is if they can save you $100,000, they get half of that. But
Right.
it still saves you that money, and then it's not a reoccurring fee to you.
Right.
It's now you're saving the money each year, right?
Right.
So it's kind of a great concept. We've started working with that. We know we've checked with some other people. Matt Washington did some things like this.
The county
But we're-
did it.
Yep, the county did it too. So there's some savings involved in that. We're all trying to look at these things, streamline things. The information, I don't know where it's gonna come into as far as if you sign up for the text, that you can get information sent to you.
Right.
And so we're kind of looking at that from a weather standpoint,
Yep.
you know, fires or traffic. And so we're trying to communicate that people can go to this, sign up for it, that you can get an alert about where, oh, I better not go that way, right?
Yeah.
Try to help us locals deal with I don't wanna call them any names on 65. But again, there's a lot of issues there that might help us out, so.
You can also text events to that number, and it will give you a list of all of the events in town. So,
Yeah.
so,
So we're really trying to communicate a whole lot more.
Yes.
And I think the public would like to see that, so they get to know more. We've got obviously social media that we use, we've got the website, but even a text like that could be very
Right.
informative, especially if you're on the road and you just see something that's happening, so.
right. So I think it'll be a great thing once we get it all rolled out, so.
That's
Did the school
yeah,
board
yeah.
have that at one time?
I don't know.
What's that? I'm sorry,
thinking
what was it?
the School board, I was thinking they had it.
I don't know.
But I know somebody did, I can't
Yeah.
remember who it was.
Yeah. I thought you wanted to say something else about your staff.
Oh,
Well, I did want to say something, that I don't work as an individual, I work as a team. And there's a staff in that front office that works really hard, and they do a great job.
yes,
So,
they do.
We've got a really good group. I'm very proud of all the people that are working with the city and stuff like it. It's really, I mean, we've got some really cool things going on. The one key thing about the occupational tax too is, we know that there's some that are falling through the net. We're trying to catch them all. I mean, it's just, a lot of it's temporary stuff, construction, and obviously the holiday. We're looking at how we can actually recoup that, because again, she always knows I measure everything by sidewalks.
yeah, yeah.
And she'll tell me how much money, I'll say, that'll be 2 sidewalks. Right, but anyway, I do appreciate all you're doing. I know you want to come in and talk about the good things that we're doing, and I'm very proud of everything your group has done.
And I'll be even more excited when we get the 23 audit done.
Oh, yeah, yeah, we're all just gonna,
Yes.
thank
Thank
Ms.
you,
Tanya, thank you
Tanya.
very much for coming. I appreciate it very much. All right, well, that was, I like it. Thank you, Ms. Tanya. All right, so, we can get back to this back page here. Board of Justice not here. Department heads. Mr. Steve Schmidt, would you like to come and join us for a
Come
minute?
to the podium.
Yes. It's already turned on green, so you don't have to do all that pushing buttons.
It's all good, man. It's always constantly going, right? I'll make this short tonight. We're gonna set a record here tonight.
Come on, Steve.
Just let y'all know, I sent y'all the email about the DARE graduations. It's coming up this week. Shepherdsville Elementary is Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Cedar Grove is Thursday at 2:30. And Roby is Friday at 9:30 in the morning. If you can attend one or all of them, it's very interesting to see the interaction with the DARE and the SROs and the parents and the kids. It's I know the mayor went to his first ones, I think, last
I've been
year.
on last
Really,
year. Yeah, it was really cool.
really like that,
Yeah,
so
you'll love it. If you
if
can
y'all
make
can
it,
come
make it.
out,
It's
it's a
really
great
fun. It's fun.
opportunity to see
It's
what
really
the
cool for the
program
kids.
does, and, that's one of the things that we wanna do more is in the community and be seen, and actually, that's gonna just dovetail into what, my next thing I was gonna bring up to y'all is, we've got a very good police department, we've got a very good city on everything we do. But this morning, we received a phone call, which makes it all worthwhile. There's a lady from Owensboro whose daughter was leaving from Louisville to go to Owensboro last night. Started getting a flat tire right here and pulled off down to Adam Shepherd and was able to get off there. I guess, I don't know if she called the police after AAA said they couldn't send anybody to help her. So Sergeant Beatty and Officer Jared Colbank went up there to help her. Obviously, she was a little upset about not getting help. They went and got the materials to plug her tire for her, got it inflated back up, made sure it was gonna hold. She got home to Owensboro safely last night, so Mom was very appreciative and gave us a phone call. So a lot of those we don't hear about, y'all don't hear about. I just wanna pass that on, that's just one example of our officers going that extra step. And that's a reason to be proud of our officers here. So just wanna pass it on, and if y'all have any questions, be glad to answer them.
Oh, they'll have questions for budget.
Huh?
They'll have questions for you for the budget.
Yeah.
I had to do it. I just couldn't resist.
true.
I just had to do it. If Lane was here, I'd do it to him too. But I would. Hey, but Chief, thank you very much. We appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
We really do. Appreciate your staff. All right. You have anything from the fire department back there? You're good? All right. We're glad you're here representing. Tom, you wanna?
I do.
Unless you're talking about smoke baloney, I don't know if I want to come up.
Come to ask for money.
You've got money allocated, but. Oh, no.
Now, some of you weren't here a couple of years ago. We started a blacktop project that we've been working on, and we've reached another point of that project, and that happens to be in our industrial park. As all of you may or may not know, that we're a little over a $20 million city with our income tax revenue, but our industrial park provides us probably 60+% of that. So most people aren't aware of that. Our actual tax base doesn't provide us. Our residential tax base of 14,000 people, there's just not a lot of money there. So I know a lot of people hate that ugly word of warehouse, industrial, commercial, so forth, but that's the reason we're able to do a lot of the great things that we're doing in our city. So we're looking to spend $1 million in the industrial park to blacktop those roads. Now, some things that's happened, one thing is everybody knows they've opened up the new exit at 114. Believe it or not, that's taking a lot of traffic off of the 116 as well as the 117 exit. But what it's also doing is putting more traffic on our existing roads within the industrial park. So we're learning that those roads maybe aren't quite up to what we wish they were. So we've got some preliminary numbers, and again, we're looking at about $1,000, I think he said about $1,000 a foot, yeah. So once you start doing that math, we're in excess of $1 million right now, so.
And just to add one to that, we actually had to do core samples of the areas that are hitting high traffic.
Yeah.
So we're gonna triage it, but we do have money allocated for already.
Yep.
In this year's budget and next, it's in
That's
two
right.
phases. But the other piece of this is that we do actually have projects for the rest of the city too. So it's
That's
not,
right.
he was bringing that up obviously because
Yep.
it's a big project, but we have other areas that are our roads.
Right.
Not the county roads or the state roads, which we.
Yep, they're all ours now.
So those aren't
Yeah.
ours back then.
Yeah.
We're obligated to that, so.
Yeah, Flynn Brothers used to help us a lot in the industrial park, and they're sort of gone away now, so.
Yep.
They will still help us in certain aspects, but they will not be sharing costs with us like they used to.
They have been in the past.
But I just want to prepare you guys that that's going to happen. We've got $400,000 in the road budget this budget cycle we're currently in. Our next budget cycle, we're looking to do the same thing. So I would like to say we could see it within the next calendar year. Not really sure according to weather and everybody's workload, of course, but it's going to be a little bit of a journey to try to get that done over there. If anybody travels that at all, I know a few of us do. It's like the Indy 500 over there.
I do want to add one thing. So we talked a lot about Tanya and the admin staff and being staffed. He's getting staffed. So now we're getting to a point where we have more people, so we can get more things done. So if
Yep.
you see things, obviously get it out. I know with Tanya talking about the dot.
And we want to keep that tax base here, so
Yep.
those roads are real important to those folks, so.
Yep, yep. Well, thank you,
Yep.
sir.
All I have. Any questions tonight?
I do want to let you know, I talked to Jose the other day, and I've been going around this community, and I know our streets, I know ours from county and city, state. And I'm starting to jot down like areas that are really bad, and he said he thought that would help you all out too.
Absolutely.
you know.
If you guys are out anywhere, I told Faith that's good. If you guys see something, just get it to us. Where it is on the
Yeah.
priority list, it may not be right when you want it. If you're like me, you want it yesterday. But at least we have it on the list. And so as we
That's
kind
right.
of look through our list and get stuff done, we're gonna make, it's really kind of, between admin and public works, it's like the non-glorious work
That's right, it is.
that we do that nobody really knows, some of the things that we've talked about, some of the water drainage problems we fixed, some of the sidewalks, some of the roads already. So those things are glorious, but they are being done.
And some of the costs you don't realize that's associated with it. It may not look like a big deal on the surface, but, we've got $500,000 invested in that,
Yep.
so. But I do always recommend report a pothole, report a sign down on our website, because it comes to an email, and that gives us accountability. If I haven't done my job, this guy can say, hey, have you taken care of this? I can go to my guys and do the same thing.
Okay.
So if it's in there, it's got a lot more checks and balances than you handing me a note and saying, I'll take that, don't get me wrong, but
Right.
let's try to push the other way.
No, no worries. Tom, thank you very much.
You bet.
All right.
Thank you, Tom.
All right.
Y'all have a good night. Thank you.
Well, we're gonna do this. Hey, Brenda. Hey, Nikki. You wanna know who? Yeah, Brenda was Nikki.
You
All right,
said you wanted to say something.
Did you wanna say
last
something? You're representing the admin.
Well, I just want to kind of go over what Tanya said. We have a really good team in our office, and we work really hard. We work really well together, and so. I just-
Sometimes the cats don't work well with us.
True. But we are really super busy right now, but we're doing our best.
And we have a new employee that started today. Her name is
Yes.
Karen, and she started in the office today, so she's a
Yes.
wonderful, first impression was nice lady, so we'll get her started and work her real hard.
Good.
All right, well, thank you very much. All right, so I think I'm done with everybody, got everybody taken care of there. All right, council members, and I don't remember how, I gotta mix it up, let's go, Mike Hibbert.
I really don't have anything this evening.
All right, I'll look at you doing that, see. All right, Jennifer Mendez.
I don't have anything.
All right, Faith Portman.
Nothing.
All right, Brad.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Oh! Who am I leaving for last? I'm gonna leave Bonnie for last. Paula?
Well, I have something. I'm pleased to announce that the beautification team, we received a grant from the tourism department for $2,000, and it's going to be used for Christmas on Buckman. So we're very appreciative and thankful for that. That was good. And then we have a meeting tomorrow. We have one meeting a month, so tomorrow is our beautification meeting at 6:30, so the public is invited. And it's right here in this room.
No.
That's it.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
Paula.
coming.
All right, Miss Bonnie?
I have nothing.
And you said it so pleasantly. All right. So we got it. Thank you, council. I appreciate it. All right, I need a motion to
Motion.
adjourn. And second.
Second.
There you go. A roll call, please.
Paula actually beating you.
No, don't do that. No, we gotta keep our tradition. We gotta have our tradition. Come on.
All right, Paula? Mike?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Definitely.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. Let's do this again sometime soon. All right. Put my stuff up. I'll be right back. Joe, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Let me go run to this to the office, and I'll be right back.